After the incredible encounter with Olensedo, Patxi and Amaia had a new mission. They had to look for Basajaun, the guardian of the forests. An adventure awaited them. The village looked quiet, as always, but the hearts of our heroes were beating very fast. Little Bat, or Vot, their robotic companion, was more than ready for the journey. Goodbye, Hirukaino. We promise to come back soon with many stories to tell. They took the path that Olensedo had shown them, the road to the mountain. Patxi, the older brother, paid attention to all the sounds of the forest. Amaia was thinking about the goddess Mari and her dream about Maria. And But, or Bud, sniffed every new flower he found on the path. They carried a backpack full of delicious talos from their ama, mother, to have plenty of energy. Patxi adjusted the antenna on his cap. It was his futuristic GPS. Amaia looked up at the blue sky, feeling the breeze of the adventure. They walked and walked and walked, until the path led them to a river with very clear waters. "Oh, look, Patxi, what a beautiful reflection in the water," said Amaia. Next to the bank, a very beautiful woman was combing her hair. She was a lamia. Lamias are characters from Basque mythology who guard rivers and bridges. Above the crystal-clear waters of the river, fish jumped over the surface, and contented frogs remained posted on the bank. The place was a haven of peace. A mischievous dragonfly landed on Bud's snout. The curious dog watched it with amazement. The lamia proposed a very funny riddle to them. "If I have 5 fish and 2 escape, how many are left?" Patxi, with his robotic mind, began calculating at full speed. But, or Bud, shook his head. He wanted the correct answer. Amaia laughed and shouted, "5 are left! Fish don't fly out of the water?" The lamia laughed heartily and thanked them for the amusing moment. As a reward, she showed them a shortcut, a quick way to cross to the other side. "Good luck, kids," she wished them from the bank. The lamia wished them good luck on their journey. With a sweet farewell, Patxi and Amaia returned the greeting, ready to continue their exciting journey. The shortcut led them to a very, very green forest. It was an enchanted forest. The trees looked like giants guarding their path. Their vigorous, leaf-filled branches were moved by the wind. Patxi and Amaia love nature and the landscapes of their land. They felt happy. Suddenly, Bat stopped and started barking, but with a robotic bark. "What did you see, Bat? A mystery to solve?" Patxi asked him. Behind the bush, there was a flock of sheep. Sheep wearing sunglasses. When the sheep saw them, they started running, and very fast. It seemed they had suddenly gone crazy. Our heroes laughed a lot at the funny sheep. Sometimes the path became a bit complicated, with many branches and dry leaves that practically covered the way. Patxi and Amaia even had to use their robotic strength to move a very large rock that was blocking their passage. Sometimes, being a humanoid is very useful, although often they also felt the need to be completely human, and they kept walking with the sunlight playing between the leaves. Suddenly, the forest ended, and a clearing appeared before them, where there was a small traveling market. The merchant wore a large hat and had a very long beard. He was selling shiny fruits. The merchant, who was an old friend of Olensedo, smiled at them slyly. "I see you are looking for the great Basajaun. He is waiting for you in the Cave of Flowers." Amaia asked the merchant, "And where is that cave?" The merchant gave them a shiny fruit that served to see in the dark. "Follow the trail of the fallen stars, and it will guide you," said the merchant with a mysterious voice. The children thanked him and put the magic fruit in their backpack. Bat, excited, already wanted to follow the path toward the new clue. The merchant also offered them a magic whistle to call the birds. Amaia, with her typical childlike curiosity, could not resist and blew the whistle. Then a colorful bird came flying. Patxi consulted the holographic map to locate the Cave of Flowers. "I think I've got it," he said, pointing to the map. Back on the path, they had to look for the fallen stars the merchant had spoken of. Amaia remembered the lamia who had helped them earlier at the river. Suddenly, Bat stopped in front of a stream. There was a bridge. It wasn't a normal bridge. It was covered with lights that looked like small stars. The star-shaped lights showed them the way like a game of dots. Patxi, using his artificial intelligence, began counting the lights to see if they had a pattern. 5 lights here, 3 lights there. The pattern was the key to the next step. Amaia followed the pattern of lights that Patxi told her, and the bridge illuminated brighter. They were already on the other side. The fallen stars clue had guided them correctly. The stream was roaring loudly, and Bat was a little afraid of getting his paws wet. Patxi held Amaia's hand. Together, they are always braver. The luminous stars turned off right after they passed. The path became very narrow and difficult. A wall of giant brambles blocked the way. It looked like a giant maze, a true challenge for our little heroes. Bat, who was a very smart and brave robot dog, knew what to do. He pulled out a pair of futuristic scissors from his head and began carefully cutting the brambles. "Careful, Bat! Those thorns are very big." Amaia used the magical fruit to light up the safest path through the maze. Finally, Bat found the center of the maze, a small gap to continue through. The children quickly slipped inside, and the maze closed up again behind them. "Thanks, Bat. You're the best robot dog in the world." The brambles were so tall they looked like giant skyscrapers. Amaia and Patxi celebrated that they had managed to get through the maze. Bat shook his body, cleaning off the small remnants of leaves from the maze. The afternoon sun was beginning to hide, but our heroes were not giving up. They had a very important mission to fulfill. Then, in the distance, they saw a cave. Not a dark cave, but one filled with light. The Cave of Flowers. Basajaun must be waiting there. The flowers of many colors made the cave a magical and very safe place. Some friendly bats were also fluttering around. Patxi and Amaia entered calmly, and Bat walked very close to their feet. They had no idea what they might find inside the cave. In the center, under a great stream of light, stood Basajaun, an imposing being who certainly did not go unnoticed. Basajaun is a being from Basque mythology, the guardian of the forests and protector of the flocks. He was weaving a basket with branches and leaves, relaxed, calm, concentrated on his work. So much so that he was unaware of the presence of the children and their dog. When he finally realized they were there, upon seeing the children, Basajaun lifted his head and smiled with his large eyes. Bat's eyes lit up when he saw so many beautiful lights and colors. Basajaun invited them to sit on some soft logs near him. The children did not hesitate. Despite the location and the unknown character, they felt no fear. The air in the cave smelled of wet earth and fresh flowers. A magical scent! "Welcome, Patxi and Amaia. I knew you would come to meet me," said Basajaun. Basajaun asked them about the goddess Maria and the mission that Marie had entrusted to them. Our heroes told him the whole story, from Amaia's dream to the Lamia's help. Basajaun, to continue helping them, proposed a very special riddle. It was clear that they wouldn't get a clue in this whole adventure without first overcoming a challenge. "I have forests without trees, cities without houses, and water without fish. What am I?" Basajaun asked. The sentence hung in the air. Bouncing off the echo of that fantastic cave, Patxi activated his artificial intelligence to search for thousands of answers. Amaia closed her eyes and thought about all the things she had learned about mythology from her aititas. That wagged his tail. He wanted to help with the riddle too. Patxi, with his futuristic mind, looked at the holographic map and shouted, "A map!" Basajaun laughed with a great booming laugh that echoed in the cave. "Correct! You are very intelligent." Basajaun smiled upon seeing the children's intelligence in solving the mystery. Bat barked once, a robotic victory bark.
"You have proven to be clever and brave," said Basajaun. "Here is your next clue." Basajaun blew over the bright flowers in the cave. The flowers flew up like a swirl of lights. The swirl of flowers slowly formed a shape, as if dancing on the air of that cave. "You must seek the one who flies highest, the one who has no shape but is everywhere," said Basajaun. "The one who has no shape? The wind?" Amaia asked. Basajaun nodded his head. "Now you must look for INGLES, the spirit of the wind on the mountaintops. Only he can lead you to Maria, the goddess of the mountain." Patxi, Amaia, and Bat, full of energy, said goodbye to the great Basajaun. The adventure continued, now to search for the spirit of the wind. Bat snorted. The story had him excited. Night was already upon Patxi and Bat, but the moon lit their way. Now Patxi and Amaia had a new destination, searching for INGLES, the Lord of the Wind. How exciting this adventure was starting to be!